Welcome to episode 132 of the Daniel Yoris podcast with today's guest, Jordan Veiga. Let's go. Welcome back to the podcast, everybody. Joined here today by Jordan Veiga. Jordan, thanks for being here, man. I'm really excited to chat with you.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be on, and it should be a very interesting conversation. So I'm excited to dive right in.
Well, you're a very interesting person, so that's for sure. I mean, most people, we were just talking about this right before we hit record, like most people never set out to set a world record in anything. And obviously we can't all hold a world record in something. And most people don't know anyone, but here you are already holding 2 world records and pursuing another, which is quite amazing. But go ahead and just let us know what it is that you're doing, and obviously that'll provide a lot of context for the rest of the conversation.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know me, my name is Jordan Veiga, and at the beginning of 2023, I actually set a goal for myself to try to attempt 3 long-term pull-up records. So I did all my research about pull-ups and the records that are currently set, and I realized that there were no pull-up records past 24 hours. So I wanted to try to become the first person to set a world record for most pull-ups completed in a month, 6 month, and a year time frame. And every day since January 1st, I've actually been doing over 1,000 pull-ups a day with no rest days at all. And I'm still going. And today is day 240. So 240 days consecutive of 1,000 pull-ups a day.
That is preposterous. 1,000 pull-ups a day is unbelievable. Why?
Yeah, so I guess the reason why, the main reason why I'm doing it is because last year I actually just really struggled with my mental health and my mental well-being. And I was just really in a bad place, depression-wise. And I realized that the only thing I went through, therapy, I went through and that really helped. I do recommend therapy. But the thing that I noticed that kind of just helped me on a daily basis was just getting up off the couch and going for a walk, going for a light run, and just getting myself active. And I just kept doing that every single day. And I'm like, man, just getting a sweat, it's huge for my mental health. And I realized that a lot of people just started seeing progress, and they started wanting to work out. So it started motivating other people. And I'm like, wow, I have my daily actions and what I do every day. It has an impact. It has a direct impact on other people and the people that I really love. So I wanted to take a project on that no one has ever done before, but that also shows consistency, hard work, and dedication towards a goal. And if you consistently try to work towards that goal, then there's very little things that could stop you. I know it's easy to say that, but just doing what you have to do every day, it really adds up and could really go a long way.
Yeah, I mean, so much there for sure. I think the mental health aspect has been highlighted. The mental health aspect of fitness has been highlighted a lot in the past 3 years during the COVID times and post-COVID and whatnot, and everything related to that. And I think it's been something that those of us in the industry kind of have known about for a while, because we see people come into the gym and they want to lose weight. They want to, whatever, these kind of I don't want to say surface level in a negative way, but surface level goals. And those are fine. And they should be celebrated and chased and all that stuff. But then the real powerful stuff is always oh, I feel so much better. I feel so much better about myself. My family feels so much, all these things happen. They're oh, these are the real goals. It's not just I want to look a little bit better, lose a few pounds, all that stuff. So it's super important to continue to highlight that. And go ahead.
I did want to just throw out a little disclaimer too, because I know all your listeners, you preach on all your podcasts, nutrition, consistency, all the proper training. I just want to let you guys know, or all the listeners, I don't recommend anyone to do 1,000 pull-ups a day. It's not the proper training. It's not the proper way to go about your workout lifestyle. But I am trying to train for like the 24-hour Guinness pull-up record. So that does take a lot of volume and just like putting your body through a lot of pull-ups. So yeah, I just wanted to throw out that little disclaimer. Like most people, like 99% of the people, they should not be doing like trying 1,000 pull-ups a day.
Yes, absolutely. And a good disclaimer, because, on the internet, things get taken out of context and get taken too far, and you never know who's like, oh, I should be doing 1,000 pull-ups a day. Like, that is very, very difficult to do. I don't think that I could do that. I if I tried my hardest, I might be able to do it in one day, but not for 2 days in a row. That's for sure, let alone an entire year. But I think the training distinction here is that is not really a good way to train at all, but it's an expression of training, an expression of fitness, the same way that someone just randomly doing the splits or doing like a 1 rep max bench press. Like, that's not really good training, but it's an expression of your strength and of your fitness, which is it's not good or bad. It's just a different thing than the actual training. This brings us to a good point though, and something that I wanted to get into, and there's so many rabbit holes to go down in this conversation, but how did you start preparing for it? Because like I was just saying, like if I tried my hardest, I might be able to do 1,000 pull-ups in a single day, but I couldn't keep doing that. And you just did that every single day. So like, how were you not destroyed at the beginning? How did you get yourself prepped for this?
So very good question. So I'll go back to like around October of 2022. I was not training. I didn't even know, like I didn't even have an idea of a world record in mind. So I wasn't even training for it. But what I did do, I was working out twice a day. And every time I did go to the gym, what I would do is I would just set a specific goal for myself. I'm like, okay, today I'm going to do arms. So what I'm going to try to do is just do bicep curls with a 5-pound, 10-pound weight for like 20 minutes, just set a time and just try to do as many curls as I can. So I would just pick a time and a muscle group and just try to work out that muscle group as like hard as I can for 20 minutes. And every day I would go into the gym with a goal and a time of like a specific muscle group. And over time I kept getting stronger. I kept losing weight. I kept getting more fit. And then around November, December, around Thanksgiving, I walked into the gym and I was like, you know what? I'm not having the best day. I want to see what I could do on the pull-up bar. I hate pull-ups, but let's see how many I could do. And I actually did 500 pull-ups that day. I was exhausted. And from there, I just got this idea. I'm like, wow, I was really proud of myself. I did 500 pull-ups. Like, I wonder what the records are for pull-ups. It kind of just like popped in my head. I just started doing all my research and I'm like, wow, like there's no pull-up records past 24 hours. Like, that's very weird to me. There is a push-up record for most push-ups in a year. And like my brain couldn't wrap my head around why there's a push-up record for a year and not pull-ups. So like, I did all my research. I couldn't find anything. I'm like, that's very weird. So I just reached out to Guinness and kind of told them my idea. Like, I want to set 3 long-term records. And then I had to figure out, okay, how do I set a world record? And then that process was pretty difficult, but I learned a lot through it also.
Yeah, I want to ask you about that process, but one thing I just want to highlight that you mentioned there, and another thing that we should mention, Jordan, that you're not a trainer by profession. Like, this is not your job. No. So all these things is just something you're doing kind of on the side type of thing, but just to, bring something into it. And something really interesting that I always find is that the style of training that you said you were doing, where you just kind of picked a weight and like, okay, I got 20 minutes, how many reps can I get in? As simplistic as that sounds, that would be something that we'd call density training, which is just how much work can I get in a fixed amount of time, and then week over week you try and beat that amount of work. So if I got 500 bicep curls in 20 minutes. Then next week I want to get 550 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And so it's a totally legit like training method. And it's very interesting that like you kind of came up with that just by feeling and just on your own. And another form of kind of progressive overload and whatnot. But let's let's dig into the nitty gritty of how to actually set a world record. So you reach out to Guinness, and Guinness says what, and then how do we then go about like actually setting a world record? Actually, who does hold the 24-hour world record? I know that David Goggins was in there at one point and Cameron Haynes, but I don't know where it stands right now.
Yeah, so right now it's the current 24-hour Guinness record is 8,008, and it was set by I think someone in Australia named Jackson Italiano, and he set that record in November of 2022. Okay. But David Goggins broke the 24-hour record in 2009 with 4,100. And yeah, since 2009, it's been broken like 6 or 7 times. So
it's double what he hit in 2009.
Exactly.
That is crazy.
So yeah, people keep just like pushing the limits on like what could be set for the 24-hour record. So I emailed Guinness. I'm like, what is the process of setting a new world record? So since I'm trying to set a new world record that is not currently in their book, that is where it kind of took a turn, because if you want to break say if I wanted to break the 24-hour record, I could go ahead and apply to break that record for free since it's already in that book, but you need like certain coaches, certain people on site to like try to verify it. So like with all the expenses, it probably comes out to maybe $2,000 or so. So pretty reasonable. But since I reached out to them about a new world record, they told me that in order to set a new world record and have the Guinness name behind it, it would have to be $18,000 to set one world record. I'm like, dang, like that sucks. Like I felt at that point that Guinness had all the power to kind of just shut down like a dream of mine. And I'm like, that sucks. Like Guinness is the only company that I thought at that point that holds world records. And I'm like, they just have all the power to kind of shut down someone's dreams. That's really unfortunate. And then we kind of just ended the conversation that they mentioned like they love my idea, but they just think it's best that I might work with someone else. And I'm like, okay. Like, who do I work with? So then from there, I just started doing research, and I realized, okay, World Record Academy is Guinness's largest competitor, and they actually have the largest database for world records in general. So like, you know what? I'm just gonna send them a cold email, see what happens, and see where it could go. And they actually got back to me within the next couple days, and they're like, "We love your idea. Let's go see. Let's see where it goes." And they gave me a good opportunity, and they gave me all the guidelines and told me I need to pretty much just live stream every workout, make sure every repetition is recorded with multiple camera angles, time stamped and documented to like the exact minute. So I'm pretty good at counting, so like recording all my reps out really wasn't an issue for me. So I felt like I could do it. So I kind of just took them up on the offer, see how it goes, and that's kind of where my journey began. But yeah, it was just really unfortunate that Guinness kind of had all the power to like turn down the opportunity because money was an issue. And it really just motivated me to kind of just keep pursuing a dream of mine, even though they weren't involved. And that's kind of where the world record itself kind of started.
Right. Interesting. I mean, it seems strange to me that if there's already a Guinness record for pull-ups in 24 hours, and then there's a push-up record for like 1 month, 1 year, whatever, it shouldn't be that much of a stretch to think that like, well, why wouldn't they just also have a pull-up record and like a squat record and whatever, all the different exercises? Like, it seems normal and kind of part of their repertoire of things that they have. But for $18,000, like I don't know what that gets you other aside from, or in addition to, going to another organization to get it. Like, you're still doing the work. It's still going to be a world record. No one else has done it. So like, why not? It's kind of a silly thing on them, and like, too bad for them, but at least you're still getting it. And, and that's that. I mean, it seems to me like it's something that would be so hard to be broken because of the consistency that's involved in it. Like, I'm not that surprised that people keep beating the 24-hour record, because if you train for it, it's one day. But like, to do 1,000 pull-ups a day every day for a year is like ridiculous. Like, you have you have a regular life to live and other stuff. It's not just like you're just doing pull-ups all day and whatnot. So I don't know that there'll be that many people who are going to actually pursue that. It would be cool to see it at some point, but it also takes an entire year for that to come through. So exactly. when you started out, when you had the okay or the go ahead that you could pursue this, since there's no current record, how did you go about determining how many pull-ups you should aim for to set like a solid world record? Because I guess if no one has a world record, if I just do like 100 and say like, oh, this is maybe not 100, but if I do like a little more than that, and then I say, oh, this is obviously anyone could beat that, right? But you have to set a world record that's like, oh shit, that's actually very impressive. So how did you go about figuring out how much to do?
So to be honest, for the month of January, right when I started, my goal was to do 1,000 a day. And then once I did that for 30 days, then I'll see, okay, like maybe I should turn it down a little bit, take some few rest days, and then like ramp it back up. But then I completed the 30 days. And then that fourth week, I'm like, okay, like I feel like my body's kind of getting used to it now, like getting used to the reps. I wonder what would happen if I just kept going. And in February, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to keep going for another month and see how it is. And I was still able to do 1,000 a day. And after that, I'm like, you know what? I'm doing this once in my life. Like, there's no way I'm going to try to break my my year record again. If I could put up this amount of volume, I'm just going to try to keep it up. And I felt like at that time I've already gone through all the major like injuries and aches and pains, and my body started like recovering like it was supposed to. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to give it my best shot. I don't want to have any regrets on this. And that's kind of where 1,000 a day started. Like, to be honest, right when my goal when I started this program, I did not think I'd be able to do 1,000 a day. I didn't even think it was like comprehensible. I couldn't comprehend it in my mind. I thought 1,000 a day for 30 days. Okay. Like maybe that's like doable. I thought like in my head, I could like push myself to the limits for 30 days. And, but after that, I'm like, I still have more in me. I could keep going. Like, I don't want to have any regrets. Like, I think I just pictured if at the end of a year, if I could say I did 1,000 a day for a year, like I would just be so proud of myself. And yeah, I'm 2/3 of the way there now. Yeah. So I'm like, shoot,
what was that first week like? Because I would imagine that the first day you're probably like pretty jacked up, super excited, like you got through it. It was hard, but you did it. And then the second day, you must have woke up and felt like you got hit like a truck. Like what happened that second day?
Oh my God! So the second day, it's still probably one of the hardest workouts I've been through, and that was probably one of the days where I'm like, well, what am I doing? Like, what did I just sign up for? So, like you said, first day was ramped up, got through the workout, super excited. second day, I actually slept on my shoulder wrong, and I woke up and I couldn't like lift my shoulder up. Like I could barely like move it to the bar. And I was just, my mind was in a panic the whole time for like day 2. I'm like, I just announced to the world that I'm going to try to do as many pull-ups as I can. And then on day 2, I'm just going to say, I quit. Or I need a rest day. Like,
Right.
At that point, I'm like, you need to figure it out. You just need to get through this workout and then just try to recover the best you can. I ended up getting through the workout. I'm like, I don't know how I just did that. I don't know like what got over me, but we got it done. And I actually learned a lot. Like I've gone through so many walls. I broke through so many walls during this journey, like mental hurdles that now this fitness journey, it switched from a physical toll to now it's just all mental. Like I know I can get through the workouts, but some days I just have to really like mentally grind it out.
And what's your strategy for doing that? Is there a sort of a meditation or a mantra or something that you kind of go back to kind of push yourself through those hard days? And by hard days, I mean not injury days, but just days where you wake up. I'm sure there's days where you wake up like all of us and you're just like, just don't go at it today. I'm not feeling it today, but you do what you're supposed to do because it's what you said you were going to do. So how do you actually get through that?
I feel like I have multiple ways of just getting through it. One that works best for me is just remembering where I was like a year ago and what I felt. And like no matter like what type of physical pain that I put my body through, I always know like what I was going through like a year ago through like my depression. Like I try to remember where I was. I try to remember how I felt and just realized how far I've come. And then I look at my pull-up counter and I'm like, okay, I only need like 600 more. Let's just move. Let's just keep moving and just keep grinding it out. And then I just know that I just have to move. As long as I keep moving and I just keep a steady pace, eventually over time, like the storm will end and I'll get to my goal.
Right. I would imagine this thought is going to sound ridiculous for me coming out of my mouth, but I would imagine now that doing 1,000 pull-ups a day doesn't seem that hard to you because you've been doing it for so long. Like again, that sounds preposterous to even say that like 1,000 pull-ups a day is not hard, but like it must seem just kind of normal, familiar to you at this point. So is there something inside of your head that's saying like, I can do this. I've done this before. I've done this, however many days it's been in the year. And all I've got to do is just do that again. Just one more day, Like, because you've done it before, you can do it again.
Exactly. So that's kind of where I mentioned like my mentality has kind of switched from like earlier in the year. I'll be like, okay, you need to figure out a way to grind through the pain and mentally get through it. But now it kind of switched over to where I'm at now. I'm like, okay, now I've built the confidence, or I know like I could get through this workout. I've been through so many more tougher workouts in the past. All I got to do is just do it one more time. And I've built the confidence where, okay, like I know I can get through this workout today.
Right. And that's something that must translate through the rest of your life as well. Like, that you can get through the hard pull-up workouts, and that's probably more difficult than most other day-to-day things in your job or just in regular life. And so does some part of you pull from that experience and be like, okay, this non-exercise thing is difficult, but like I can do hard things, so I can do this too?
Yeah, exactly. For anyone who like goes to the gym consistently or even just pushes themselves physically, I think it's a direct correlation to I think it's direct correlation to like your confidence level, your daily lifestyle, and like anything you're doing. If you push yourself physically and you could get through that workout, or you push yourself to reach a goal that you've never done before, it rolls directly over into your daily lifestyle, like for work or like even just having a conversation. Last year, I was so afraid of public speaking. I would never thought I would go on a public podcast, but every day, like I kind of just forced myself to just speak for 30 minutes after my workout, or 30 seconds to a minute after my workout, and just forcing myself to just be in front of the camera every day is really just develop my confidence to speak. And like this, it really just rolls over into your daily life. Last year, like public speaking was probably one of my biggest fears in the world. And now just forcing myself to speak every day, now I'm more confident in it.
Right. It's always amazing to me to hear these things because, like I mentioned at the beginning, these are the real positive results and the things that we're really chasing and trying to impart on clients as a trainer is like, hey, yeah, you're going to get a little stronger, your muscles will get bigger, you'll lose some body fat, and all those nice cool things will happen, but like really you're going to feel more confident in your job, you're just going to feel better throughout the day, like everything else is going to get better because of this. And I don't even think that that's an extreme statement to say that like everything will be better when you really pursue your fitness. You mentioned some injuries. How have you dealt with these injuries? Because I imagine that first day, like that wasn't the only one. How have you kind of dealt with these injuries, and what are some of the other injuries that you've dealt with?
So I am pretty sure I have like some nerve damage in my hands.
Okay.
So like right now I'm trying to extend my hand fully, and I usually like in the past, like my fingers could go past here, but my fingers are I'm pretty sure I got some nerve damage in my fingers. Like the fingertips are very sensitive, like they don't really have much feeling, just because I'm squeezing the bar so much. So that's one side effect that I've been going through. But also like a big issue is I deal with tendonitis after like really tough workouts. So if I really push the pace or really try to go fast, I'll really feel it in my elbows the next day. So that's just been a constant injury that I just kind of have to go through. But the first month, what really helped me was just ice baths and saunas, just because I felt like my body was super inflamed, like everywhere. Like I needed to cool down my body, and the sauna just helped like warm it back up again before my workouts. But by far, the biggest recovery tool ever is sleep. So I have noticed if I get like 9 to 12 hours of sleep, I am confident I can knock out my workout like under 2 hours. If I get like 8 to 6, then it goes from like 2.5 to 3 hours. And then like 4 to 6, I'm just like, okay, like I know I'm in trouble, like just figure out a way to get this workout done. So
That's so interesting.
There's a direct correlation with the amount of sleep that I get, and how I perform during my workouts on a daily basis.
Yeah. See, one of the nice things about hearing that is that for many people, they don't do something that is like, they're not professional athletes, obviously, and they don't do something that is like so extreme like what you're doing, right? They're, 3 workouts a week, 45 minutes to an hour at like a 7 out of 10 intensity, which is like amazing and what most people should be doing for their life and whatever. Mm-hmm. But you don't notice how important different factors are, like your nutrition, like your recovery, like your sleep, like all these things when you're not doing something where you're really pushing yourself to limit. So someone like you who's really pushing it, you notice a difference in even the number of hours of sleep. Most people, if they hit 6 to 8 hours of sleep, they'd be like, yeah, I'm like, that's money for me. I'm amazing. Yeah. But you even notice a drop off in your performance, a significant drop off in your performance if you're not hitting 9+ hours, which makes sense and is something that we need to pay attention to, because just because you're not noticing it, it doesn't mean that it's not happening just on some smaller level. And this is where like little tweaks and injuries happen, and even mental performance just in work and outside of the gym life again is where all this recovery stuff happens. So like, yeah, you've got to do the saunas, the ice baths. I'm sure there's some supplementation and stuff that you're doing, and maybe physical therapy of sorts and other things, but like sleep is number one.
Sleep is number one by far. Like last year, I I used to be like, I only need 6 hours of sleep, and I'd be fine just because I wouldn't be like performing like just like as hard as I could, and I could just go about my day, 6 hours of sleep, just going through the motions. But yeah, now that I'm performing, I'm like, okay, I need at least 8 hours of sleep to like make sure like I'm good for my workout tomorrow. And if I don't, then I'm obviously gonna just struggle through it. And yeah, that's I actually got this watch, the Whoop strap.
Mm-hmm.
I got it like a few months ago just so I could start tracking my sleep. And ever since I started tracking my sleep, there's just been a huge increase in my performance.
What did you notice about your sleep from wearing the Whoop band? I wear the Oura ring, which for tracking sleep purposes, more or less the same idea. But what have you noticed in the past couple months, and what have you changed?
One is I'm more efficient with my workouts. I get it done faster. And two, I feel like I'm actually progressing too, because I feel like there were a few months where I was just like not recovering fully and not giving my body enough time to like actually get better during my workouts. So I felt like there was a good 2 months where I was just staying still, not improving at all. And my times during my workout were pretty much the same or not getting better. I'm like, okay, I need to do something. I need to change something up. I need to like eat a little better or figure out like, yeah, just track what's going on in my body. And I realized like every day it was like, okay, you are only 50% recovered because you got like 6 hours of sleep. I'm like, okay, that kind of makes sense. So I just started sleeping, taking naps when I could. Naps are huge. If I only get like 6 hours, I'm like, okay, I could take a 2-hour nap maybe before my workout and then be ready to go. So with the sleep, now I'm improving, like my reps are getting higher. My form's a lot better too, because I'm not like trying to, my elbows could affect my form. So
right. Is there anything then that you've changed as far as your like sleep routine changing, maybe when you have coffee or like just your whole bedtime routine that you kind of notice certain things that you didn't think had an impact do have an impact on you from using the Whoop band?
Yeah. So actually I usually don't have coffee or caffeine until right before my workouts. So that really helps. I used to take caffeine in the morning, but now I just like take lemon water. And I feel like that lemon water and salt, that just gives me enough fuel to get through the day. So that's what I've been doing. And then also I always try to fit in a nap if I don't get 8 hours. So I always just try to catch up with a nap. That really helps me.
Since we're on the topic of a little bit of nutrition stuff, you said like the lemon water and maybe limiting caffeine. Have you changed your nutrition much, or how are you eating to fuel this performance? Because your goal is performance right now. You're not trying to lose weight or like just, whatever. And I'm sure that you have some fun foods and stuff here and there, but like, how are you organizing your nutrition and the way that you eat to pursue this goal?
Yeah. So when I first started, I'm like, my mentality was like, I'm doing 1,000 pull-ups a day. I could eat whatever I want. So I actually I gained 10 pounds in the 15 pounds in the first month that I started doing the pull-ups. I'm like, okay, so I need to change up my diet. So anyone out there, you can never outwork a bad diet. So no matter how hard you work, you can't outwork a bad diet. So I had to change up my eating plans, and now I just eat 2 meals a day. I try to eat 2 hours before my workout, and then I'll just eat dinner right after. So that's usually enough fuel, but I have to have a lot of protein and a lot of carbs as well. But yeah, pretty much during my 2 meals, I just have protein, veggies, and carbs, just a little mix of whatever I have.
Right. So nothing too like crazy or fancy, just like normal food, protein, higher protein, higher carbs and fats, and just kind of a moderate amount. Because like you're doing the 1,000 pull-ups a day, but you're probably not doing a ton of other exercise just because you're trying to recover. You're not trying to just exert yourself as much as possible or more than necessary, right?
Yeah. So I've actually realized, so I've been doing 1,100 pull-ups a day for, I think, or since I've got this wristwatch, it's been like about 3 months, and I've just been doing 1,100 for 3 months. And the calories I burn could range from 300 calories burned to 1,500 calories burned.
Yeah.
So I'm doing the same amount of reps, but depending on the pace that I go or the reps that I do, it could really differentiate like how much I burn during the workout. So I didn't know that in January. I'm like, okay, like 1,000 pull-ups a day, I probably burn 1,000 calories during my workouts. But if for some lighter days, if I'm not going as fast, I might only burn like 300 calories. So I really could differentiate my output based on how fast and the type of reps that I do.
Yeah. Another little secret for you is that, and most people don't know this, unfortunately, is that these activity trackers, the Ring is not really an activity tracker, but the Whoop Band, the Apple Watch, the Fitbits, all of them, unfortunately, some of them are up to 90% inaccurate in their calories burned metric, which is a fucking huge number. 90% is a giant amount. So using the calories burned metric as like a thing for weight loss. I had this conversation with someone literally yesterday. Is like, oh, how many calories am I burning per day because my watch says such and such? It's like, it's kind of a useless thing to pay attention to, because you know that like your overall activity is the most important thing. Now, in your situation, Jordan, it would be different because like, again, you're chasing performance. You're not chasing, just regular fat loss as like a regular quote unquote person. But using that, like that calories burned measurement doesn't really tell you a whole lot. It's like, use the amount of exercise that you're doing is a way better metric, and just like, is the scale going down? If that's your goal, if yes, then you're doing good. If not, then you think something's got to change. But it's super interesting to hear like how much it's, the just the value of the data that you're getting. I know you're a numbers guy, you're a data guy. Yeah. So obviously it's nice to kind of put numbers and see where you can make these little tweaks and improvements. But the other side of it, and this is so foreign in today's landscape of social media, is like, you're doing things that are very simple and very intuitive, and they're working. Your diet is like, yeah, I'm eating like quite a bit of protein because I'm using a lot of muscles, and like carbs and fats, and it's just like kind of normal food. And it's not like you're here listing me, this 17 ingredient cocktail of like, superfoods and all this specifically timed all these things. And it's like, oh, this is like an impossible diet for a person to follow. It's like, no, I'm just eating regular food. I noticed I was eating a little too much because I was gaining weight. So I scaled that back and dialed it in a little bit. And like, that's it. Then I just rip out my pull-ups every day. Yeah, and it's like, exactly. That's so crazy. It's like that being a strategy is so foreign because we're used to like all this flashy stuff in social media now. And just to say the basics work, it's like, yeah, of course they work. They've always worked. They will always continue to work. Just do them and stop chasing the flashy stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If you eat right and you consistently work out and you have enough sleep, like you will see results.
Yeah. One of my favorite quotes from the podcast from my good friend Matthew Buson was, nutrition science is really hard. Eating healthy is really simple. And it's so true. We can argue for days about the science and this and that and the other thing, but like everyone knows which plate of food is healthy, and just choose that one more often than not, and you're going to be pretty good for the most part.
It's so true.
You've continued to refer to your workouts, which is a really interesting way to refer to me, because when I hear you say I'm doing 1,100 pull-ups a day, I'm just thinking that you've broken it up like on a per hour basis, and you're just kind of like banging out a few all day. But it sounds like you're just doing 1,100 pull-ups in 2 hours, which is even more insane. So how are you breaking up your workouts? How do you even accomplish that many pull-ups in that short of time? It's more than a pull-up per minute.
Yeah. So
by a lot.
I try to I do lunch workouts here and there, but not every day. So if I have enough time during work, or if I have a lighter work day, which is probably like 2 or 3 times a week, maybe, I'll definitely try to get in like 500 pull-ups in an hour to make my night a little bit easier. But I try to average 10 pull-ups a minute on the minute. I can't always do that depending on like how much sleep I get. But if I get enough sleep, I try to average, 10 pull-ups every minute on the minute. So if I could do that, then I could like easily knock out like 550 to 600 pull-ups in an hour.
So you'll do 10 pull-ups. How long will it take you to do 10 pull-ups?
What I do is for like a speed workout, I will do 5 pull-ups and then I will rest for 7 seconds and then I will do another 5 pull-ups. So that I'll usually get 10 in around 60 seconds and just keep doing that over and over.
So you'll do 5, rest 7 seconds, and then do another 5, and then rest the rest of the minute?
No, and then just rest 7 seconds again, and then hop on the bar. So yeah, every time I rest is like from 7 to 10 seconds.
And then you'll just do that straight for 2 hours?
Yeah.
That's insane.
So it's mostly cardio. So like I've gone through the workout. So now it's just like, okay, I'm on a row machine for like 2 hours. That's kind of what I look at it like.
Right. Yeah, that's wild. I would have thought that you would like in my head, I would break this up into like, all right, I'm going to do sets of 10, and then maybe you'd, as you get better, you'd push them up to sets of like 20 or 30 or however many you can get in a row, and then just do that. Like, okay, well, if I can do 25 in a row, then I've got to do this many sets per day. And then every hour I can do like, whatever, 2 or 3 sets or whatever it is. Like, that's how I would have thought about it. But because your approach seems like so much more impressive. Like I would never even attempt that as a thought process. Like, well, I'm just going to do pull-ups basically with no rest. You're resting every minute. You're resting 10 to 20 seconds, which is more work than rest. So you're basically just doing pull-ups for 2 hours. But I guess because you've done so many pull-ups, like doing a single pull-up is just so easy for you that it does become very similar to like a row machine or just cardio. You're just moving your body weight through the air instead of running or through whatever, right?
Yeah. And I always keep in mind that like one of my long-term goals is to try to attempt the 24-hour Guinness record. So I am just trying to prepare myself for some of the longer workouts that I might do next year once I'm done with my 3rd world record for most pull-ups in a year. Because once I do that, then I'm going to probably start training properly with rest days, eating right, and just having like longer workouts where I'll do like 6 hours straight. So I'm just trying to prepare myself for my next goal.
Right. Now, are you doing any other training outside of this? Like, are you going to the gym and doing squats, or are you doing cardio? Like, are you doing other stuff? Or I would assume no, and that's not like, that would probably be the right answer, but are you doing other stuff as well?
I mostly no, but I do have a stationary bike. I'll probably hop on that just to keep my legs somewhat in shape. Probably once or twice a week, but nothing big. I pretty much just do pull-ups and the stationary bike here and there. Yeah,
makes sense. I mean, that makes a ton of sense to me. It would probably help with recovery a little bit and just like getting that additional blood flow flush out a little bit, similar to like how sauna would affect you in those kind of things.
Yeah, but, exactly. Like the bike is just like, okay, if I'm super sore today, I'll hop on the bike to get my legs flowing and try to just get the lactic acid out.
Right. Now, one thing that I think has been kind of, we haven't really touched on it, but it's been in this conversation the whole time, is like, and we can't even say this enough times, like you've done this every single day. People out there listening, they struggle to get to the gym 3 times a week for a month or even for 2 weeks in a row, and like even twice a week. Like people really struggle with consistency, and you've been more or less like perfectly consistent for the entirety of this year so far, doing something that is, way more ambitious and way more extreme than most people do. So what advice do you have for people to become more consistent with their workouts? And then obviously that spills into the rest of their life. But what advice do you have for people to get more consistent with their workouts?
Yes, I feel like consistency and being disciplined is probably the two most important factors on helping you achieve a prospective goal of yours. So one thing is you have to have a goal in mind, or like even a short-term goal. Like, okay, today, like after work, I want to make sure that I go straight to the gym rather than turning on the TV and like watching the game or whatever. So you just have to make a constant reminder of yourself. Like, look, I have a goal in mind. I know I'm going to have some hurdles that are going to come in the way, but you have to understand the hurdles and like realize the hurdles beforehand. So you can kind of just ignore those like hard thoughts that come through your head and just get it done at the end of the day. It's like, it's really like, it's hard. I mean, consistency and discipline is hard. Like I'm not going to beat around the bush. Like those two things are really hard to grasp. And some days you just got to get up and just push through those tough thoughts that come in your head and block it out and just know that, look, I have a goal in mind. I want to get there. And this is what I'm going to have to do to kind of reach my goals.
Yeah. I mean, what you're saying is very true, and I wholeheartely agree with it. And the authenticity coming through your voice is very loud, which is awesome. Because at the end of the day, like we can talk about tips and tricks and hacks and, put your shoes by the door and have an accountability buddy and, all of the things that like people have, if you've listened to the podcast, like you've heard these things before. It's not news to you. Shouldn't be news anyways. But at the end of the day, like you just have to do it. You have to make that promise to yourself and you have to keep it. And you can have all the other stuff, have a plan, have a whatever. But one very important thing is that you mentioned is the awareness.
Yep.
Be aware of what might get in the way and try to eliminate those things to the best of your ability. You won't always be able to, but to the best of your ability, eliminate those hurdles and the roadblocks. And then after that, it's just you have to do the things that you said you were going to do. Yep. And you might not be perfect, and that's okay because you're not trying to set a world record. But if you are, you have less excuses or less leeway there. But for the rest of us, like you have to just do the things that you said you're going to do, and it's going to be hard, and that's okay. And I think that we really need to be okay with doing hard things, and that's the thing that gets us through. Everyone struggles. It's all right. You struggle too, and you're going to be all right. You get through it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you hit it perfectly. Like that's pretty much my motto. Like I know I'm going to hit roadblocks. I know there's going to be different hurdles that come in my way throughout the day, but I kind of just got to take them, go with the punches, and know that I'm going to get through whatever comes at me. And I just try to win the day. My motto has been just try to go 1-0 on the day. And over time, those wins will just add up.
Yeah, I love that. Is there anything that has surprised you as far as difficulties with these? Obviously, you knew this would be hard. Is there anything that's been like, wow, I didn't realize that this would be so hard about pursuing this challenge?
One is, I think one of the most difficult things is a lot of people on social media think that like, okay, this guy's a fake. Like, there's no way like he could do 1,000 pull-ups a day. Like, there's no way he's done 265 pull-ups like in the year. So I really didn't kind of expect all the negative feedback on social media that I get. So it's kind of like a spectrum. Like a lot of people think like what I'm doing is awesome, but then there's also a lot of people that like, okay, this guy is an idiot. Like, why the hell is he doing 1,000 pull-ups a day? So, that was one thing I just didn't even really consider because I was mostly just trying to just be consistent, just focus on the day, just try to do my workouts, and just try to preach positivity and consistency to the world. But I feel like that's also kind of helped me because like I'm a competitive guy, and I'm like, you know what, like F you, like, you know, I'm just going to keep on going. Like, I don't really care what you say. I'll take the negativity and just use it during my workouts and just try to make me a little bit better. But yeah, that was kind of something that I just didn't really expect. Because every time I post on YouTube or TikTok, I'll just get a whole bunch of negative comments. But like now it's just like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, that's so strange, and especially that you're doing this in part to like promote mental health awareness and these things that people are just like shitting on you. For what reason, I have no idea. Like, I think it's not a crazy question to ask, like, well, why would you do this? Because it seems like a crazy thing to do. But to say that, like, well, it's all verified, it's all whatever, like, of course you're doing it. And so, you know, people do way dumber stuff that we don't question. So if a guy wants to do 1,000 pull-ups a day for an entire year, I mean, I don't want to do it, but by all means, like, go for it. I would never knock someone for doing it. So that's very strange and very, very unfortunate. But I think that there's also something to be said about that, like, you know, haters are my motivators kind of thing. Like, it's not totally untrue. You want to prove these anonymous people wrong. And some days I'm sure you need to like pull that, you know, that motivation a little bit. I don't know if there was a podcast that David Goggins did, and you know, he's a little bit of a psycho in a good way.
Yeah.
But he was saying that he voice notes negative comments that he gets online. Like, he'll read them out and voice note it, and then just play that as his music while he's running to motivate him, which is so crazy. But that's what you say, and that kind of reminded me of. So yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate. It just comes with the territory of doing anything in public and doing anything online, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. But it's just another one of these things where it's like, hey, this is just part of it. You think it happens to other people and whatnot, and like, why would people even be negative towards you? There's no reason to. But I'm happy that you're kind of like just rolling with it and then using it somewhat positively rather than letting it crush you down, because it definitely can be a difficult thing to navigate. And I think that anyone who doesn't post things publicly or somewhat professionally on social media, like, they don't quite understand that. And and you know, they wouldn't, because they don't do that. It's just like these anonymous people just commenting on stuff is it can hurt for sure.
Yeah, there's some people out there that like literally make profiles just to try to like be negative on social media. I'm like, dude, like, come on, like, do you have anything else better to do?
In this world of like endless entertainment, there's no way that the best thing you had to do was to create a secondary, like, anonymous TikTok account just to go and say negative stuff to people who you don't know anything about. Like,
exactly.
It's so crazy. But I mean, hey, this is the world that we live in. Mm-hmm. Jordan, is there anything else that you wanted to share with anyone today, or any other lessons that you've learned along your journey, or things that you wanted just to discuss before we close off here?
Yeah, so I think one of the biggest things I just want to share with the world is like, look, if you guys are going through a low or some sort of depression in your life, look, just try to get up, go for a walk, or do something active, get a sweat in. I really feel like if you do some sort of physical activity, it will help with your mental lifestyle or whatever you're going through, and just put you in a better place mentally. And that's what I did. It really helped me, and I can't put enough emphasis that fitness and working out and just being active can be huge for your mental health. So that's the main reason why I am doing this project, to show the world that working out could really help you out in all facets of life.
Beautiful message, man. Where can people follow along and, you know, support you and get more information and maybe talk shit to some of the haters on your behalf?
So you could I actually live stream my workouts every single day on YouTube. at Set the Bar Project, one word. So if you go ahead and type that in on YouTube, you could see my full workouts, and I also post like daily short videos there. And also it's the same handle for TikTok and Instagram. So Set the Bar Project.
Nice.
And also I do have a GoFundMe in my bio for a nonprofit organization called NAMI. It's a National Alliance of Mental Illness. It's one of the biggest nonprofit organizations in the U.S. centered around mental illness. And all my donations for my project are actually going to that organization. And I really like this organization. One, because all the donations are currently helping people that are in need, like at the moment right now. So that was something that really touched my heart, because when I was going through what I was going through, like I needed help like at that time, and I didn't really feel comfortable speaking to like some friends or family or whoever. So that really helped me out, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to start a donation campaign for them.
Right. Amazing, man. I'm gonna put the links to all those things in the show notes. So Set the Bar Project on all the platforms, and then the NAMI GoFundMe as well. I'll put those in the show notes so people can click on the links directly through there. This has been amazing, man. I'm so amazed at what you're doing. I wish you the best of luck with this going forward, healthy and strong all the way through the rest of the year. I'm excited to see it when it's done, and then excited to follow along when you eventually break the 24-hour record, but one step at a time.
Thank you, man. Daniel, it's been awesome. I've had a pleasure speaking with you. And once I'm done with my, I think, World Record 3, I saw that you posted on your Instagram for like training or coaching training. I would love to take you up on one of your sessions sometime. So
awesome, man. Yeah. I'd be happy to. I mean, you might be able to train me in doing pull-ups, but but yeah, we'll work something out when the time comes for sure, man. Appreciate you so much, Jordan. Is there any last message you want to leave the people with here before we close?
Let's get after it today, and let's grind. Let's win the day.
Let's go. Set the Bar Project, everybody. Jordan Veiga, thank you so much for joining me. Thank each of you for being here and listening to the episode. Give this episode a share with everyone who you know who would benefit from this, and spread the word of mental health and of fitness, and just help support Jordan and the NAMI Foundation as well. Share the podcast. Follow us on Instagram, all the places, and that's it. Go outside. Be a good person. We'll see you soon.